Let's talk about reluctant talkers. Reluctant talkers are children who can use their voice freely at home, but have really significant difficulty using their voice outside of the home environment. So these are children who will present as really quite shy and quiet. They may only use their voice with some adults. They might only whisper with one adult. They might not use their voice with adults at all and only use their voice with other children. It really, really varies from child to child. But it's really important to know how to support these children. So here's a few tips. The first one is to try to reduce your questions. Questions can really put a child on the spot because they know that you're waiting for some kind of response. So instead of saying something like, oh, what one do you have and what are you doing? You might say, oh, Incy Wincy Spider. You're rolling it out. I see the water spout. You're pushing it down. So you're still engaging with this child. You're still modeling all of this language, but there's no pressure for them to use their voice. The next thing that you can consider doing is using a lead-in phrase. So for instance, you might say something like, oh, I see you have 5 speckled, and just pause and see if they're tempted to use their voice. This will really support their confidence if they feel like they can even use one word. But again, we want to make sure there's no pressure for them. So don't pause for too long because that can have the same effect as a question. So just pause for a few seconds, and if they don't say frog, you can fill it in for them, frog. Okay, and then the last thing I want you to remember is to try to accept and acknowledge all forms of communication. So for instance, if you say, okay, what will we do next? Incy Wincy Spider or 5 speckled frogs. If they point at Incy Wincy Spider or even if they look at it, that's really clear communication. So instead of waiting for them to use their voice, or instead of saying something like, you say Incy Wincy Spider, or use your voice, you'll acknowledge it and say Incy Wincy Spider. Okay, let's do Incy Wincy Spider. All of these things will come together to support a child's confidence and their ability to use language outside of the home environment.